Take 3. No? Yeah, we're good? Okay, 1 o'clock in 35 seconds. We tried this at 1 o'clock in 7 seconds and it didn't occur for a brother, but that's alright. Who's gonna worry over a few seconds? Even though we only got 57 minutes for Brother R.A., the brother has too much to say. But, yeah, that's right, this is Brother R.A., and welcome into my humble abode. Yes, I got some bed music there, and feel the chi, feel the energy. Alright, we're gonna have to get rid of that. Just got paid. Well, I can say that. Brother R.A. just got paid. It is what? December, it is the 6th of December. Yeah, this is my first time on in this 12th month of 2017. And my clock is ticking. I'm thinking about, I'll be 56 years old. My next birthday, come February, Brother R.A. will be 56. Me? 56? Wow. Okay, well, let's move on. A man with responsibilities. Let's take care of business and do what I gotta do. As a thinking black man, let's go ahead and share my Facebook page here. And, hey, John Wayne says, I believe in white supremacy until blacks are educated to a point of responsibility. I don't believe giving authority and the positions of leadership and judgment to irresponsible people. I don't feel we did wrong in taking this great country away from the Native Americans. Our so-called stealing of this country from them was a matter of survival. There were great numbers of people who needed new land, and the Indians were selfishly trying to keep it for themselves. Okay, let's move on. I just have so much to share. Okay, let's move up beyond that. Oh yeah, U.S. owes black people reparations for a history of racial terrorism, says UN panel. Mommy and a nephew. Last week's show was on. And I'm trying to, oh, there we go. How about the Massachusetts state symbol? Is that the red man that John Wayne was just talking about, that we took this melanin dominant individual's land and now he's used as the symbol and the icon for the state of Massachusetts? You talk about psychological enslavement. I mean, chains and images of psychological slavery. But I have so much more to share, so let's go ahead and get to this particular piece here. Top 10 most racist states. Alabama. And let's just move on. That's the thing about the microwave is bad for you. And real patriots are the protesters. And here we go. This is what I wish to share with my audience. Oops, wrong button. Don't wish to do that. I wish to go this way. estimates range from 10 million to over 20 million Africans enslaved by Arab slave trade, Arab slave traders. Arab enslavers practiced genetic warfare. 6 of every 10 black boys between the ages of 8 and 12 had their scrotums and penises completely amputated to prevent them from reproducing. The Caliphate in Baghdad at the beginning of the 10th century had 7,000 black eunuchs and 4,000 white eunuchs in his palace. Ronald Segal, author of Islam's Black Slaves, the Other Black Diaspora. Arab slave trade inspired Arab racism towards blacks. Arab is not a racial classification, but is more similar to the inclusive concept of American. In the beginning, there was mutual respect between blacks and light-skinned Arabs. However, as Islam, the demand for enslaved blacks grew. So did racism towards Africans. The Arab enslaver targeted women for rape. The Muslim slaveholder was entitled by law to the sexual enjoyment of his slave women. They packed harems with African women who were forced to bear their children. The abuse of African women would continue for nearly 12,000 years. Or was that 1,200? Yeah, let's go back. Let's make sure I get it right. 1,200 years. Arab slave trade ushered in the European slave trade. The Portuguese got their start in the slave trade by acting as middlemen for the Arab enslavers. They profited considerable amounts of gold transporting enslaved Africans from one trading post to another along the Atlantic coast. The Arab slave trade sparked one of the largest slave rebellions in history. so that was that. And, let's just go ahead and jump into our conversation. You know, as a child, I was told certain things. And maybe that's why I'm difficult today, because I tried to follow the pattern of, what I was taught. And, the dentist, I'm talking about enslaving the mind and how certain things occur and happen, and create a routine, regimentation, organize, and set up patterns. And this book here, Advice Among Masters, The Ideal Enslaved Management, in the Old South, African Origins of Biological Psychiatry, African People, European Holidays, A Mental Genocide. And I feel, what is my role? What's my function? What's my responsibility? My responsibility as a thinking black man getting ready to turn 56 years old. And, I was watching that Robot and Frank, or Frank and Robot, and the robot had some we're definitely moving into that type of mindset where you have, cars that drive themselves, and the robot told Frank, well, this is good for you, and it keeps you motivated, and what's your inspiration, and gives you inspiration and inspires you, even though it's a crime. That was really cute. But, and Frank, my memory can be used as a weapon against you. And psychological enslavement. So me going to the dentist told me, yo, young man, you want to brush each tooth 32 times, the outside, the inside, up and down, get in between all your teeth, and, and I still brush my teeth like that today. Even though I'm missing a few teeth and whatnot. But as a thinking individual, there's certain routines and patterns that I establish as a regiment. Organized patterns. And dealing with organized patterns and thinking that particular way, I guess I have a particular type of personality. Not only brushing my teeth, but when you wash a dish, you use the sponge and you use the scrubby side of the sponge and you wash inside the glass and outside the glass and all up and down the glass. And then you rinse it off and put it to the side and pick up the next piece and wash my thought process and how I deal in my day-to-day life. And so as a thinking black man, sharing images and knowledge of so on and so forth on my Facebook page, these two particular images here in the station with me. Can you see these things here? And then reading a black man's Bible. And actually, this show was because I couldn't find my copy. Can y'all see these? Let's angle it so the light is not so bright. Okay, so this is my copy. I couldn't find it, and I requested a second copy. And I said, okay, I'll take it home. And it made me find my copy and get my highlighting stick, because you know I'm anal retentive. I gotta highlight, and that's what I ended up doing, and that's what you'll see on the Facebook page. Some of the pages that I've highlighted. Here, let's go to this page here. The timeline. And looking at the particular timeline. Orthodox, regimented thinking, and who am I? What inspires my life? What is life about for me? And in studying, you know, I was a religious studies major in 1980, 81 down at Morehouse College, and I've told this story a few times. You know, I started there and then moved off campus and then came back home and gave my initial sermon, because I found out that's all you needed to do to become a minister was give your initial sermon, and once your sermon was accepted, and then, you know, in the pastors, you know, and one of the pastors back then, he was a Mac Daddy and whatnot, and that seemed to be the vocation, or the you know, men sleeping with as many women as possible, whether he's a minister or not. And, you know, that wasn't for me. So I gave up the ministry. And this particular book, this gentleman here, Jim Granger, and sharing this particular knowledge and information and starting to read his particular book, and I'm just going to start reading some of this book just to show you how methodically my mind began to work in desiring to discover certain things for myself. I'm a young man, and what is my vocation? What is my desire? What am I about? What is life about? No, life wasn't about sleeping with all that many women, even though I've had my fair share. I've done, yes, I'm a criminal. I've sinned in that area, if you want to call that a sin, but that could be balancing and yin and yang energy, male and female coming together. But let's look at the timeline. And let's read about that. In the white world, the metaphysical questions are dealt with by experts in the field of religion. There are three major religions in the white world: Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. Each of these major religions is well known to us, and intentionally so. Each of the major white religions has several subdivisions. For example, there are Baptist and Roman Catholic Christians. There are Orthodox and Reformed Jews. There are the Shiite and Sunni Muslims. There are the black-skinned people who profess to believe in essentially all of the big three white religions, and in essentially all of the denominations of the three big. Some of these black-skinned people have offered that their particular sect is the traditional religion of black people. These people are simply wrong. All of the big three white religions borrowed from our ancestral philosophy. Take note, ancestral philosophy. Okay? None of these religions is our ancestral philosophy. Black people had a civilization that predates all of these philosophical constructs. Consider the timeline, an indispensable historical tool. On the next page, which you're looking at right now, is shown black people built the Great Pyramid at Giza over 1,000 years before Moses, the founder of Judaism, lived, and over 3,000 years before Muhammad, a prophet of Islam, lived. In view of the knowledge manifested in the Great Pyramid, it is apparent that black people had not just begun to think in the 27th century BC, but rather their knowledge, which is previously mentioned, is unsurpassed today, had been under development for quite some time before the construct of the Great Pyramid. Did our ancestors accomplish this feat without metaphysical knowledge? What gave purpose to the lives of the black people who built the pyramids and the Sphinx and Hera Market, if you will? But so what? So what if none of these white world religions represent our ancestral religion? Suppose these philosophies include advancements over what our ancestors knew. Suppose they provide superior ethical standards of behavior over what our ancestors knew. Suppose these white philosophies produce societies of justice superior to our ancestral societies. Should we then adopt one of these new developments? Clearly the answer is yes. One cannot objectively deny that 2 + 2 are 4. Just because one's ancestors did not discover that relationship, the law of truth or consequences, as always, applies on this issue. We, like all people, need a workable philosophy to give purpose and the focus to our lives. In selecting or developing such a philosophy, our concern should be only, does it work? Now, we're getting ready to go into 2018, right? It's 2018. Muhammad, can y'all read that? This is 1,000 years, then he was born sometime shortly after what? Before current era, or Jesus was born in BC? Or what? BC is before Christ, so he was born just after that. Okay, here's year 0. And now we have Moses 1,000 years before Moses, or let's say 3,000 years before Moses, or what is that? Great pyramids were built almost 3,000 years before Moses, or 2,000 years, however you wish to look at the quote-unquote timeline. But still, these particular pyramids, we have, this one is the step pyramid that was in Mexico, and this is the replica of the pyramid that is in Egypt. And I do believe they said the base of this pyramid is over 10 acres. Now, how did the black mind build such an edifice? I mean, you needed some type of deep metaphysical thinking, or because the melanin recessive inbred mutant albino hasn't been able to reconstruct such an edifice since the Great Pyramid. And we're going into the 21st century. So who am I, this young boy, goes to the dentist, brushes his teeth, gotta brush each tooth 32 times, up and down, up and down. And I mean, I'm definitely human. And I mean, I get zapped by stupidity and ignorance and my own nonsense. I'm learning to analyze and cope and deal, even though I have my routine, my regimentations, my organized patterns, and even when I come in here, I always have my chair here and throw my stuff in the chair, make sure the lights, and got my purple background. The steps, the organization, the thought processes, how my mind works, and just capsulizing and reinvigorating my mind, reading A Black Man's Bible by Jim Granger, and just reading certain things, taking me, I'm not even high. I did bring my pipe, and I'm still within my own cognizance, and I'm just trying to divulge, okay, as I move into 2018, to my 56th birthday, I've been hard and harsh and talking about melanin dominance with the liquid fluid pineal gland versus the melanin recessive with the calcified pineal gland. I guess that's not PC. We got BC, which is before Christ, but PC is not politically correct, or I'm too harsh or too offensive. And really, I didn't give a fuck, because this is my regimentation, this is my goal, my aspiration. But as I turned 56 and understanding how I got to be this way and start thinking, I mean, I'm even wearing, oh yes, I'm from Cambridge, I park my car in Harvard Yard. Yes, I'm the black man and I hang out in Martha's Vineyard. Yes, and yes, I'm one of those cultured Negroes. Yes, I hang out in Oaks Bluff. No, I that's not me. I have to move away from the religious nonsense, move away from the middle class bullshit, and dig deeper into the essence of who I am. And in understanding more about the ancestors and just looking at the timeline and analyzing and, okay, wait a minute, I wanted to be religious studies major, study about Jesus and Muhammad and religion for black folks, but wait a minute, the timeline shows that my ancestors built such an edifice that it hasn't been recreated. And the base of it is 10 acres, and how high does it go? And each side represents something, and here's the step pyramid showing the steps up. And am I stepping up to who I really am? Am I reaching my full potential as this thinking black man? I'd like to read some more of Jim Granger's writing, some of the highlighted portions. I ended here. In selecting or developing such a philosophy, our concern should be only, does it work? History shows us quite clearly that our ancestors created societies of unsurpassed justice. Unsurpassed justice. So we can dismiss the idea that white religions are superior in any way to our ancestral philosophy. The ancient world almost universally viewed the black world as a society of unsurpassed justice. Unsurpassed justice. Is there anything more eloquent than being one to focus on unsurpassed justice? Jim goes on in the book to talk about there really isn't a distinction between melanin dominant and melanin recessive, but I do believe there is a distinction in the liquid fluid pineal gland versus the calcified pineal gland. Let's bring in some of that football stuff. You know how I've been trying to integrate, more melanin dominant black quarterbacks? Now Russell Wilson, a black man with a rifle arm, and because of the liquid in the pineal gland and the athletic ability, he's able to put the ball right on mark. And see, my boy from the North Carolina Panthers, he was feeling too much of himself in that game, and that's why he lost. He's like, oh, I don't need the team. I can win this by myself. You can feel his cheek. And this is what I mean about the liquid pineal gland and being able to tap in and connect. You could see that young man for the Panthers was like, oh, this white boy ain't got shit for me. I can take this team by myself. But he needed his teammates, because the brothers from New Orleans, those brothers was like, yo, nigga, we got something for your ass. Each one of them players was a badass, saying, you ain't doing it up in here. And they kept saving the white boy's ass, the inbred mutant albino. He was the quarterback for New Orleans. The brothers kept saving his ass, because they worked together as a team. They came together. So New Orleans beat the Panthers in their game, but the Seahawks, with that black quarterback, he wasn't feeling so much of himself, and he stayed calm, his chi was level, and they tore up whoever they played. And so the thinking is, will the white owners see with their calcified pineal gland, see that, wow, we need more black quarterbacks because they make more money, or they get more people in the stands, or the black quarterbacks, I mean, you see how many times both of them had to run? Both the black quarterbacks had to run. You can't get white boys to do that much running. I don't care, I mean, what's his name, Tom Brady and Belichick or whatever, you know, and I think the coach's relationship with the quarterback has something to do with it too. If the black quarterback has to report to a black coach, they can feel each other's chi. But with the black quarterback going to the white quarterback, to the white coaches, there's a dysfunction. I don't know if you can actually see that or feel that, but there's that type of energy. But this is, I don't listen to the part of my routine and regimentation, watch football, whether it's college or NFL, niggas for hire, or niggas for lease, I'm sorry. Yeah, I watched the game because I was a football player. I played corner, I played halfback, and I understand somewhat, but I'm a little old, 55, I'll be 56. So I'm like, yeah, but I can see the Russell Wilsons and, what's that brother's name for North Carolina? His name will come to me after a minute. Roback, help me. Brother needs a memory. The quarterback for the North Carolina Panthers is, damn, it won't come up. But you know who I'm talking about, the brother who had the ego, he was feeling himself. But, yeah, the relationship between the liquid pineal gland quarterbacks and the calcified pineal gland coaches, there's something missing there. And just wish to make that point. Let's go ahead and get back into this. History shows us quite clearly our ancestors created societies of unsurpassed justice. So we can dismiss the idea that white religions are superior in any way to our ancestral philosophy. Understand the ancestral philosophy of being melanin dominant with a liquid pineal gland, tapping into your spirituality, tapping into your inner self. The ancient world almost universally viewed the black world as a society of unsurpassed justice. The Greeks described us as faultless in the Iliad. What other race ever earned the title from another race? The Greeks said that the blacks in the Iliad were faultless. Is that you and me? Are we faultless? Are we capable of tapping in? Much is made about people killed in interminable wars among whites. Very solemn rituals are observed for the dead whites who died in fighting for this or for the nominal cause, frequently religion. But the millions of whites dead are numerically insignificant as compared to the people of other races who have been killed by white people. Africa, Australia, India, and the Americas and Western Europe have all had their non-white, especially black populations, either eliminated or brought to the brink of extinction by white people. Generally, white people professing one or another of the three major white religions. Let's move to a history of acceptance. When one thinks about these bizarre white philosophies, naturally one begins to ponder how so many of us could have been fooled for so long. There are several reasons, foremost of which is that white people from all the big three white religions use their religions as a weapon. The game plan was to use their religions as an aid to enslavement. What the book reviewed in the previous excerpt calls enslavement theology. He goes on to quote, "It is the distortion of religion," he, Dr. John Henrik Clarke, maintains that cripples black people to this day. You cannot successfully oppress a consciously historical people, Clarke noted during a recent interview. You can only oppress by taking their history, and you do that by colonizing their concept of God. Make them mentally dependent on those who take away their freedom. The process is really quite simple. This is Jim Granger speaking now. You take the candidates for slavery, you forcefully separate them from their communities. You deny them from speaking. You forcibly separate them from their communities. You deny them the right to speak their own language, a component of race. You rewrite history books such that if they do learn to read, which you forbid under penalty of law, it will be obvious that you did everything worthwhile. History is a component of race. And drill into their confused heads that you are chosen by God to be the masters. The slave candidates, at best, can hope to be drawers of water and hewers of wood. You put the candidates for slavery in subsistence, if that, living conditions, glorify your norms of appearance and obscure the norms for the candidates for slavery through rape, which you rationalize, of course, under the guise of improving the breed. Soon a few of the slaves will come to see the wisdom in your ways. Of course, this process is always facilitated by killing or publicly maiming those stridently opposed to your policies and rewarding with scraps those disposed to cooperate. Remember Fiddler's line from Roots? It don't take much coughing for me to get a sip cognac whiskey. Now that's fine living for a nigger. Fiddler's mind had been destroyed. He accepted a less than human status. Fiddlers and are part of the problem. Survival for black people. I, Brother R.A., was Reverend Richie, and I had to change my name. I realized I still speak the colonizers' language. But I'm definitely in search and changing my rituals and routines to see if I can ascertain the true aspect of what it means as I get ready to turn 56 in the year 2018. What does it mean to be Brother R.A.? What is my goal in life? What is my purpose? What motivates me? What desires do I have? I was a little anxious. I did something really dumb. I'm going to share this with y'all. Just because I'm human. You know, I went to the dollar store. I mean, people give me things and they say, oh, don't spend everything on food. But it's like, okay, there's certain foods I like and I don't like. I'm allergic to seafood, but it's like, okay, I grew up under my Nana, and, you know, that World War II mindset. You never use the last of anything. You always make sure, if you're down to 3, you always go get 2 or 3 more, because you never want to run out. You always have enough toothbrushes, toothpaste, razors, and so on and so forth. So I was at the dollar store, and I got some razors. I was like, ooh, wow! Because, you know, I'm shaving my head bald all the time, and I had the 5 blades. The 5 blades, you know, pulls it out and makes it nice and clean. And then at the dollar store, they had 6 blades. I was like, 6 blades? Oh, wow, I was excited about that. I'm shaving my head. You know, like I said, I stored up, got my razors and so on and so forth. But lo and behold, I wasn't thinking. I was shaving and said, oops, oh, snap. Where is that at? Can you see that? That's those 6 blades. That was my scalp I'm shaving. Oh shit, it started to bleed. I jacked myself, had to put toilet paper on my head, wear a hat for a few days. But being routine, regimented, organized patterns, organized pattern, yeah. Go gentle with 6 blades, motherfucker. You got 6 blades on top of your head. Don't be shaving your scalp off. But I, as this divine energy, one who's tapping into myself, tapping into my flaws, tapping into my beauty, tapping into my inner essence. I've had some great teachers. I mean, Regina B. Key, my 7th or 8th grade teacher, she taught me penmanship, how to write my name. You know, you draw your name, and it always take me a half hour to signature my. So I draw my name. You know, like I said, you brush your teeth 32 times. There's certain patterns that you've established because the routine, the way you've been raised and reared. But now it's like the buck stops here. And as I move into 2018, I have to change a little bit more. Believe more in who I am. And how did the ancestors build such edifices? Is this significant and meaningful? Common people, but as you raise your self-esteem and self-confidence, you rise up to the pinnacle, the square base at the bottom, 4 90-degree angles. all sides and all aspects, 90 degrees equals 360 degrees, become well-rounded, dealing with your pineal gland. And that's one of the things I was wishing to get to in reading this book. If I can find that particular quote, a portion. First, readers should understand that our ancestral philosophy was the product of the best minds of humanity that was developed over thousands of years. Reading from Jim Granger's A Black Man's Bible. Before going into the substance of ancestral philosophy, I think it prudent and necessary to offer some qualifying statements. First, readers should understand that our ancestral philosophy was the product of the best minds of humanity and was developed over thousands of years. To completely decipher its intricacies will require the lifetimes of interdisciplinary teams, the best minds that we can muster. I offer the perspective presented here for your consideration as a beginning of the reconstruction. To wax religious for a minute. Second, much of the work done to date on subject of black philosophy was done by people, both black skin and white skin, who were trained in white institutions. The language and the very thought patterns used by our ancestors are significant problems to people trained in such institutions, even where good intentions might exist. Of course, good intentions did not always exist, and the deliberate destruction and mutilation of records and artifacts is also another potential error source. The destruction and mutilation of records by natural causes is also a problem. And let me share this also. He quotes a lot of other books, and this particular quote here is from Schwaller. Came to believe that the metaphor of creation is imaged by the point engineering in a line, the line engendering a surface, and a surface engendering a volume, was an arbitrary, misleading adaptation of Greek thought, Euclid and Aristotle. In contrast to this view, he presented his interpretation that the entirety of Egyptian philosophical mathematics was based on the notion that the primary expression of being, not the physical point, but the three-dimensional volume. Hence, he wrote, Le Temple de Home, everything the existence is a volume. Therefore, a point is an apex of a volume. A line is an edge of a volume. The surface is the face of volume. These three components, point, line, and plane, when considered by themselves, are abstract concepts expressive of mental ideation with no basis in the three-dimensional world of physical embodiment. By accepting the original state as volumetric, the physical world, which is also exclusively three-dimensional, then reflects the essential nature of the creative origins. What is God? God is length, width, and depth. Then he goes on to say,